Yo, 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 and welcome back to Professional AF Podcast. You're here today with me, myself, G, Elliott, Bella, Brandon. And today we're here to talk about sports and gambling. Brandon, take it away.
What's happening, guys? It's your host, Brandon. So I'm going to give you a brief rundown of what sports betting is. Very brief. Sports betting is pretty much when you're just betting on like NFL, NBA, like legally regulated sports, MLB. And you're betting on, like, you could bet on the outcome of the game for one team to win, one team to lose, one team to score this many points or not score points. You can bet on your favorite players. For example, mine would be Kevin Durant. So I could bet on him to score 30-plus points in a game, and I could wager $20. And if he does, I'd win $20. So sports betting essentially is that. There's a lot of different bets, but that's some of them. So as an industry, sports betting is a massive industry. But prior to 2018, it was not a massive industry. That's because it was not legally regulated across the whole nation, and it got federally banned. So Supreme Court in New Jersey, they had a trial, and they were the ones that got it unbanned nationally. So now, since it's been unbanned, states have been trying to legally get it registered within their own state. Prior in 2018, sports betting was an industry that only had $443 million in the industry, and now today, presently in 2022, is an industry with $4.33 billion, billion with a B. So as you can see, the industry is expanding ever rapidly, and it is generating a lot of revenue for many different companies and states. So what's your guys' thoughts on sports betting?
I think it's not good. I think that it messes with people's mental health. You can get addicted to gambling. Brandon will be in Gamblers Anonymous in the next 2 years.
Very untrue.
Very true. You lose a lot of money. Brandon, care to share how much money you've done? How much damage you've done?
So since turning 21...
How old are you now?
I am 21 still.
Okay, so he's still 21. Okay.
So the age you have to be to gamble legally is 21. Since I've turned 21 in March of this year, I've bet $31,000 in bets.
Tuition. So, that's a year of tuition.
That's a year of tuition.
But that's a lot for some and not a lot for others. So you'll never know. I don't know.
That's the problem.
I haven't lost that much money.
But that's the problem. It's a lot of money for most people.
So Bella brings up a great point. A lot of people can lose a lot of money gambling, but gambling is just like any other hobby or vice.
No, it's not.
For example, people turn to alcohol. There's people that can casually drink alcohol and still go to work.
That's not a hobby.
There's people that have...
A hobby is orchid class and knitting. I'm not spending $31,000 on my knitting kit.
Just to say, all right, hobby wasn't the word. Vice, for example. Alcohol is a vice. People can go casually drink at a bar, but that doesn't mean that everyone is degenerate alcohol and no one's an alcoholic. Not everyone's alcoholics.
Well, why can't you just bet on sports then if you like to without money? People get addicted to it because of the money aspect.
It also makes it more entertaining. It's the entertainment.
Is it entertaining when you're broke?
No.
Okay.
It is entertaining when you're sitting there praying for Patrick Mahomes to throw a touchdown, and if he does, you win $100.
And then you see his little brother on your TikTok, and you're like, I lose all hope.
Something that I looked up that I thought was interesting is, so 1% of gamblers have gambling addictions or issues. So it doesn't mean that every gambler is a degenerate and an addict. The same thing.
Is that across all gambling or just sports gambling?
I believe sports gambling.
Okay.
I'm not sure, but...
So not everybody's like you?
Not everyone's like that.
I want to hear Elliott's thoughts. Elliott, what do you think? Do you think it's good? Think it's bad?
I think there's ups and downs, but kind of like Brandon said, everyone's got to have something to do,
What's the positive? What's the upside, Elliott, to gambling?
It's fun.
I mean, you
And
can...
that's the only upside.
The point that Bella's not making...
You impoverish people, too, at the same time.
There are people that do make... For as many big winners and big losers, there's many big losers that are in gambling, there's as many big winners. People have to win money.
And then there's people living in a box.
So since we're on the
topic
topic
of...
of...
loses small. Some people lose a couple dollars. It's no big deal.
So since we're on the topic of Brandon and his gambling addiction, let's talk about college kids in general. So some of these kids, and some of these athletes, they're going into their financial aid and taking money to gamble and sports bet. How do y'all feel about that?
That's crazy.
That's absolutely... Well, he does it, so
That's not... I do not do that.
no comment.
Obviously, that is a terrible idea. You should not be taking... You can only bet money that you can afford to lose. And you should know that. And you have to be responsible with
But not
it,
everybody does.
Which is just like drinking, as I brought up earlier. You have to be able to responsibly control yourself when you do this thing.
Okay, but if we're talking about college students, look at how many college students don't know how to control themselves with drinking, too. Like you're
Let's use our stats. So we got stats here. It says
We do
people
have stats.
age 44 or under bet more than their older peers. According to a 2021 survey, 31% of people aged between 35 and 44 bet at least once a month, compared to 28% of people ages 21 to 34. Only 10% of people aged between 45 and 64 wager monthly, while just 5% of people 65 or older claim to be regular bettors.
Well, because most people with full-time jobs aren't trying to make their bag off of sports betting.
Yeah, people are just casually betting. That's majority of people that sports bet are not people that are broke, and they're going broke because all they're doing is betting. They can go to work, they bet some money, and they're not betting their whole paycheck. They're just betting to entertain themselves watching certain games.
I think that's a good thing too. I mean, if most bettors are young, right, that means like they're not betting during a time when they have to spend their money on stuff like, you know, their house, their family, and things like that.
True.
It's like when you're in college, you have some cash to throw away.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah,
bet
but
on it.
sometimes people are paying for their college on their own.
About to say cash to throw away is
Yeah.
crazy.
Elliott brings up a great point because a
It does depend
statistic
on the
I looked up
situation.
earlier is college students are more prone to gambling. And I think that's exactly because what Elliott was talking about is college students in general have less responsibility. They're not full-blown adults yet. They don't have careers, kids, marriage to
I think
handle,
it's because
things
they're
like that.
stupid.
Maybe.
It's possible.
I think it's just because they're irresponsible. And they're like, I'm bored, I want to make a bag. Everybody in college is just like so eager to make money. So they're like, oh, this is easy and fun. Like,
So do you think
like
there should be more rules involved to protect people from being
I just
irresponsible?
think money shouldn't be
I do.
involved in gambling.
So
But then
what's
that's the point
stake?
of
It's just
Yeah.
for fun. It's just for shits and gigs. Like,
But what are you putting on the line? Because that's what's fun about it, you know?
why is that fun? Like, am I missing? Like,
Because when you're right, you get something out of it.
Yeah.
I'm always
It's the
right.
entertainment
I'm
value.
right every day of my life.
Then you should like gambling.
It's not like you could be a gambler.
Nah. Well, what do you guys think about how it affects, like, areas? Like, we talked a little bit earlier about Atlantic City and how they're super impoverished. They put all of these casinos and hotels into their city to try to help unimpoverish it, and it's just made it worse. Everybody's become more
Yeah.
poor because they just go, they gamble their money, and they make nothing, usually.
Personally, I think living in Atlantic City, it just doesn't help out because I see it every day.
Yeah.
So like every day, like there's literally like they're either taking down a casino or trying to put something else there to make more revenue. So obviously, whatever they're doing. So obviously, like whatever they're doing in Atlantic City for the casinos is not working because they have to keep adding and putting stuff in, and I don't
Right.
think that sports betting is helping them. Obviously, they get people that come in and do it, but how many people do they have?
It's helping the
come in?
hotels and the casinos,
Yeah,
but
because they
it's
get
not
people
helping
that come stay,
the
but
town.
like, is it actually helping the people that actually need
No.
it? Because
Yeah.
once you come off the boardwalk in Atlantic City, it's
Yeah.
giving ghetto, it's
Yeah.
giving the hood,
It's
giving any ugly.
scary times. Even on the
It
boardwalk,
is.
though.
It is.
Like, it's helping nobody that actually lives there. It's hurting, like, the
I'm
city.
not saying the revenue that they're making, they're not even giving it to the city. Like they're
Right.
keeping it for themselves.
Exactly.
And that's a different topic, but
I think like we mentioned in the very beginning, like it's a lot of revenue for these casinos to be making from gambling, so they should establish these type of programs to help the community, especially in Atlantic City, for example, like G was talking about. Is you walk off the boardwalk and you're in some dangerous territory. You gotta be careful in the spots you go to. So they should definitely be helping the community about more because they're making so much money.
or at least giving something to the community or something for the community, because even if so, you're making money, but the casinos are for people that are 21 and older, want to gamble. Like it's for family fun, but is there really family fun that they're?
All right, Elliott, who we interviewing?
So we're going to be interviewing Mike Busciacco. He works at Caesars in Atlantic City, and he's like a manager for a casino. So he's going to talk to us about the business, about, you know, kind of his experience, and let's get into it.
All right, what's going on, everyone? Welcome back to Professional AF. We have our guest. We're so stoked to have. Forgive me if I butcher this last name, but Mike Busciacco. Does that sound correct?
That's correct.
That's
Nice.
I did my research. I tried to pronounce it. All right, so can you tell us about yourself? What do you do, Mike?
I'm a supervisor at Caesars Digital, Caesars Atlantic City Casino.
Okay, that sounds great. That sounds nice. So, how long have you been doing that for?
This will be my 5th year.
5th year. Okay. So we have here that before you did that, you actually worked for Judge Dempsey for 18 years. So can you tell me about that? Like, how'd you get into that, and what did you do?
Yeah, my father-in-law was his personal for 13 years, and he retired, and I needed a job, and he hired me.
Nice.
Okay, so like, what exactly were you doing for him? Like,
I ran courtroom 805 in the Justice Center in Philadelphia.
okay, sweet. That sounds awesome. So how did you like make the transition from doing that to getting into like being a supervisor for like sports betting and booking?
Well, Judge Dempsey caught cancer and passed away.
Very
So
unfortunate.
I was dealing poker at the Borgata and Bally's at the time. And a sports book job came available that I wanted to do back in 1978 in Vegas.
Okay.
But my
In
wife
Vegas?
thought that bringing up children in Las Vegas wasn't a good thing. So
Fair.
I had to give that up.
I could definitely relate to that. My father actually lives in Las Vegas, so I'd go visit him like every summer growing up, and it's definitely a lot. It's a very interesting city. There's a lot to see, so it's
Yes.
interesting. All right. So another question I have for you here is, so what do you think makes sports betting so popular, in your own opinion?
Well, because people love to bet and they love to get paid. So sometimes when you bet with a bookie, either way, that doesn't happen. But this way, when it legalized across the country now, you go in, you make your wager, and you get paid right after the game is done.
Yeah.
Or you join the app. Every sports book has an app,
Mhm.
and you can bet from home, but you have to be in your state to
Yeah.
do that.
So you specifically work in sports betting, right? Not just like the regular casino.
Correct. I work. In the Wild Wild West is part of Caesars.
Nice.
They built
Okay.
the biggest sports book in Atlantic City.
Okay.
Yeah.
So what is that like compared to other places?
The other places are a lot smaller. The screens are a lot smaller,
Mhm.
and ours is top of the line. People say it's like the best in the country.
Oh.
Do you enjoy your time there? You like working there?
Yeah, because when you wanted to do a job in '78, and it's 2022 now, you waited a long time to do that job.
Yeah, no, that's fair. So another question I hear, I don't want to be redundant, but like, how do you think like sports betting in AC would compare to like Vegas?
We dominate Vegas now because the money comes out of New York, North Jersey, Philadelphia, Washington, and Baltimore.
Yeah. Wow.
Way
that's-
more
I
money.
never
Way
even
more
knew that.
money. See, Vegas is a vacation town. People go to vacation there. Atlantic City, people are just coming to bet there. It's a 13-week town, Atlantic City, with the summer, but they come to go to the casino, and we were the second in the country to open.
Wow, I didn't know that. Okay, that's
So-
awesome.
So off of that same topic, do you think that the money that you guys are bringing in from your sports betting and booking is helping the community of Atlantic City or hurting it?
That's hard to say because I thought the casinos, when they first opened in '78, were supposed to take care of the town,
Right.
Yeah.
and they didn't.
Yeah.
So
It hurt the town more, right?
yes, the sports betting brings in a lot of revenue,
Okay.
which because Atlantic City, if you say what Donald Trump said, is a shit town, but it's not, and it has these casinos, and this brings people money in.
Okay, but
Okay.
does it only bring money in for the casinos and the hotels, or do you see it being poured back into the community, or is Atlantic City lacking in that area?
They're lacking.
Lacking?
Okay.
Yes,
How do you think they could do better?
build housing.
Mm,
There's so many homeless down here in Atlantic City.
True.
yeah.
You know, it's bad.
Yeah, I've been there myself since like I turned 21. I've been there and went like sports betting and AC, and like definitely when you walk off of the boardwalk, like you instantly notice it's like a different vibe compared to like being in the casino to like the actual community. It's just different.
And the big change in the business has been the app, because the casinos want everybody on the app, because as long as they live in New Jersey, they can
make money.
bet, and they don't have to. It's
Yeah.
computerized money.
How do you feel about that? Like, no, you work in like a brick and mortar establishment, correct? So like
Yes.
a lot of people are like transmitting over to like online and like online platforms. Like, what do you think about that? You get
I, we were one of the last to do that, and it's 85% app,
Wow.
15% people.
Yeah, like myself included, like I bet on like the apps because like for me, I mean, I'm a college student. It's hard for me to just drive to AC and like take an hour trip to like go like gamble or something. So
Right. And then as the other states, I should say, opened gambling,
yeah,
like when we were open, Pennsylvania didn't have it. Washington didn't have it.
yeah.
New York doesn't have it.
I
Now they're
definitely want to
getting
get
it.
your
They
I want to get
have
your
it or
thoughts
they're
on that.
getting it.
Do you think it should be legalized across the country? Like,
Yes, it's going to be.
yeah,
It's just that some states are. It's like Ocean City. If you know anything about Ocean City
and I
down
did,
here in New
yeah,
Jersey, you can't get a drink in Ocean City.
it was just
So
crazy.
you have them
dry town.
hard towns that will not vote for this, and so you probably have states that won't vote for it also.
Yeah,
So how do you think it'll expand to every state if some states are kind of just like stuck and don't want to do that?
Well, I'll tell you what. I believe it's in about 40 states now.
Mm-hmm.
It's just that a lot of people put their nose up the casinos because they take all the revenue out of the town.
yeah,
So the bigger states like New York, if New York opens casinos
Mm-hmm.
in the city of New York,
Mm-hmm.
it's hard to see how many casinos we will have in Atlantic City because
yeah.
the majority of our people come from New York because Pennsylvania has it.
So are you referring to just gambling in general or sports betting specifically?
Well, it's gambling in general because if you join an app, you have everything.
Right.
It's just like the casino offers sports betting to the person that, brings his wife down to play the slots and the husband's down there
Yeah.
betting sports.
Okay, that makes so if we can like dive into like your actual like your career itself. So like what are like some of like the most interesting stories you have from like your personal work experience, like being a supervisor?
Well, it's
Do you have any like funny, crazy stories that have happened? I'm sure you've had some over the years.
yeah, I mean, yeah, you have people act up,
Yeah.
the emotions and the quickness. It's not like a horse race. It takes 2 minutes. This is like people coming down there to watch a game that makes 2 or 3 hours to play, and the screaming and the hollering. Like I get a kick out of like the Jet fans and the Eagle fans and the Giant fans. They'll do chants like inside the sports book.
Relax
would only
on the
hear-
Eagles, Mr. Michael. Relax on the Eagles.
Go birds,
Yeah.
go birds, baby.
I'm a
Yeah.
Cowboys fan, so I'm heated here.
Yeah, so you can't come in. We won't wait on you.
That's fine. I'm used to the discrimination.
The funny stories are the people. If I could just say, like the actions of the people.
Okay.
So some people can be so nasty and so happy at the same time.
Yeah.
You know what I
People
mean?
will do that to you. Yes.
And you have to, as a supervisor, my job is to make sure that the money's right and the tellers are doing their job, and we're constantly under surveillance and everything's being watched. And you can never get out of line, even if somebody like spits in your face.
Yeah, no,
Right.
that's
You
what,
know
that
what
was
I
actually
mean?
one of my
Like-
questions I had. Like, one of the questions was like, what was like the most difficult situation you've had? Like, how did you like deal with it? Because like you said, you have to behave and like maintain a certain level of like your job. So it's like a fine line between like wanting to just punch someone in the face, but you obviously can't. So like, how do you deal with that?
Well, we had a gentleman who was living under the pier, and he would come in and throw stuff at us. Like could be
Oh, boy.
anything. Could be like pencils. He would throw letters at us to tell us that he was like a vet and he's homeless and we won't contact his parents. And you put up with that. And you put up with people that have millions and millions of dollars and don't really care about money.
Yeah.
True.
So
So
that's
you deal with
that's an
people on both
experience.
ends of the spectrum, right?
Yeah, so you just some people bet $1 on a game, and some people bet $100,000 on a game,
That's
Yeah.
insane.
and it don't mean the same to the same person.
That's
Right.
true. Yeah. Cause
But it
like
makes-
me, myself, wait, go ahead. What were you saying?
No, in other words, everybody's like $100,000 is nothing, and the
Yeah.
dollar is everything.
Yeah, for me, like I'm I'm betting like $5 maybe. And like, to me, that $5 is everything. Like, come on, I need this team to win. But like, I'm sure to people that are betting hundreds of thousands every bet, it's nothing to them. So
Yeah, but they
definitely
don't
big
care.
difference.
Yeah, they just don't care.
Yeah.
Casino business is a business that's hard to understand the emotions because we have people jump off roofs.
Yeah. No,
What?
it's definitely
You don't
psychological.
never see that in the paper.
Yeah.
You never see that in the paper, but they don't put that in there that people lose all their money and then go jump off the 11th
I've
floor.
never heard that.
Oh, you're young yet.
Yeah.
You just don't want to be standing there. You just don't want to be standing around when they splatter all over the street.
And have you like dealt with that or seen it or heard it?
Yeah, yes. Anybody that's worked in the casinos has seen that and know all about that.
Casinos, they have the barriers around the top, like Tropicana, people like jump off and kill.
So how does that affect you?
Well, you could go outside and get a gun put in your head too. You know what I mean? So there's a lot of things that happen, just everyday life. But Atlantic City, you'll never see that put in the newspaper when that happens. They hide that. They don't want people to know that.
To sort of brighten the mood here. So I was actually like texting like some of like my friends and like my family about like I was going to interview you. So like I asked them if they had any questions specifically for you. So one of my friends asked like, how do like casinos and sportsbooks go about like setting up like the spreads for like certain games? So like say for like a football game, like a team's favorite, like 4.5 points. Do you know how like what goes into actually like calculating that?
Yes, there's all PowerPoint numbers on every team, meaning offense, defense, home field advantage, points are given that way. And they have professionals that put the line out. Some do it for the whole season ahead of time. So the number will be up there, and then barring injuries or barring a lot of money bet on one side or the other, because the number that goes up is a number that is made to get two-way action. It's not made to be everybody has the Eagles.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And nobody has Arizona this week.
Why is that? Why do the casinos want like two-way action? Can you explain that?
Because sports betting is run by Vigorish. Now, Vigorish is that to win $5, like you say, on your bet, you have to bet $5.50.
Yeah.
So just realize that by millions. So to win $1 million, you got to have 1.1 million. So if they get $1 million bet on the Eagles and $1 million bet on Arizona, they don't care who wins. They make $1 million as long as the game don't fall in a tie.
So sort of, they're always just taking a shave off the top, essentially.
Right. And when it's 10% Vigorish, that's what it is. And so every bet that's made all over the country is made with a Vigorish. Like if you bet $50 and not $55 and you win, you get 105 back.
Yeah.
If you bet $50, you get $45.45 on top of your 50.
Yeah.
So they're always taking the cut.
That makes sense.
Makes sense. That's a profitable business model to have.
Well, you've never seen a bookmaker carry a lunch bag.
That's a good quote. I like that. That's sick.
And what do you exactly do in the casinos? Like, do you literally just watch what everybody's doing and make sure?
Well, if you do our setup, we are behind a counter.
Okay.
And I can have as many as 6 tellers at one time working.
Okay.
And I have to have their bank ready for them when they come in, which our banks are $4,862. And they put everything's recorded in terminals.
Gotcha.
So you're every time somebody bets, it adjusts your money. So at the end of the day, you got to balance out just like a supermarket.
Jesus.
Wow. That makes sense. Okay. Well, we don't want to keep you too long. I mean, we're coming up on the 15 minutes that we were supposed to have you here. So we can't thank you enough for coming on. I really appreciate your insight and the wisdom. Appreciate it a lot. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks for having me.
No
Thank
problem.
you
Worked
so
out
much.
for you.
See you soon.
Right, bye.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Bye-bye.
After conducting the interview and listening to what Mr. Michael had to say, do you guys have any concluding thoughts or changed opinions on sports betting and gambling?
I concluded that I was indeed onto something with that. One, he said exactly what I was saying, that the money from the casinos does nothing for the community. And
Did
two,
he say that?
yeah, no, he literally did.
Oh.
He was like, no, they're lacking. And then he also talked about how bad it is for like mental health and stuff. He spoke about how people literally jump off of the roofs of casinos after losing so much money. So like that just can't be good for a person's like well-being, mental stability, all that good stuff.
I think what Papa Michael was referring to was the extreme cases of, badly being addicted to sports gambling. That's what would cause you to jump off. Not every single gambler is going to jump off a casino.
Yeah, but how do
because
you
they
know
lose
if you're
bets.
going to be one of the people who has it really bad?
If you bet all your money
But you
that
don't
you can't
know
afford to lose,
beforehand.
you do know
No,
beforehand.
you don't.
It just comes down to responsibility and being able to handle it, like I said earlier.
Well, how do you find that out? By doing it. And then it's too late.
Well, one of the things he talked about was how the business is expanding, and especially moving more online, which means like even if you have the casinos in the community, he talked, like what was it, 85% are online. So I feel like some of those negative side effects of like gambling and getting addicted to it, like you can still have that even if the physical casino isn't there, And it's not just in Atlantic City because they can do it anywhere in Jersey. So I don't know that like the physical casino being there is doing all that much anymore. Maybe it used to be different.
Right.
If anything, I definitely think you could make a case that like the online like sports books and like gambling is like probably going to lead to more addiction because like Elliott was talking about how
can
easy
do it at
and
home.
accessible it is for people. Whereas like you don't have to go to like you don't have to drive to Atlantic City and make like a weekend out of like having to go gamble. Literally, you can just hop on your phone and do it instantly. So that's something to consider.
Wow.
How do we feel about him saying that New Jersey is beating out Vegas with the gambling?
I don't know about that.
I believe it though, because like he said, like people go to Vegas for vacation and then they leave. And like obviously people go to Vegas like a lot of people go to Vegas, but Atlantic City is so close on the it's on the East Coast is easy to get to.
True.
So I feel like and with it being online, like people don't have to come anymore, but also people like to come to Atlantic City just because there are multiple casinos you can go to and there's always people going down. Like even like we have like frats and sororities that go for like their formal.
Yeah.
So you do get a lot of people that go. So I definitely think we're beating out Vegas.
And I guess it does depend too, because like gambling versus specifically sports betting, this is a big area for sports. I mean, you've got Philly, you've got Jersey, you've got New York. It's a big market for that. Vegas, I mean, they have the Raiders now, but yeah. So maybe money comes in for like regular gambling. People go to the casinos and stuff, but I feel like sports betting is gonna be really big on this area.
Yeah. I think it comes down to population too. I think the East Coast is like super densely populated, so that definitely factors something.
And how many underage people do you know are going to Vegas? Or like Vegas is usually you go for your 21st birthday. Like obviously underage people go, but like
think about like the country. Like nobody outside of like probably Pennsylvania, maybe Connecticut, New York, are gonna bother coming to Atlantic City for like that kind of stuff. Everybody's gonna go to Vegas.
True. Yeah.
So like when as like densely populated as the East Coast is, people are still fascinated with Vegas and like the hype of it. So
even outside the country too.
that's what I'm saying. People come from like everywhere just to go to Vegas.
I think definitely Vegas definitely is still the sports betting capital of the world. I also think like you have to factor in that Vegas is like, even though it's obviously known for its casinos and bright lights and the strips and stuff, there's like lots of other like entertainment venues rather than just casinos there.
Right. I don't know. I think Atlantic City is like, they have a constant flow, like a steady flow of people. Like Vegas probably dies down like every now and then depending on the time of year, but still I think when they're like on, it's
popping.
Yeah.
Another thing I found interesting that he talked about was like the disparity between the type of people that are coming in. Like he said he had people that are coming in betting millions of dollars. And then he talked about the person who lives under the pier who comes in and throws pencils at him. You're dealing with like quite different people, so it's very interesting. It definitely keeps his like day interesting when he's working, probably.
Well, like, could you imagine that? Like, you're at work, you can have people that come in that literally are from like New York, rich as bleep, and then you have somebody come in who like he said somebody like puts guns to heads and too like that's
Well, he's
just
also from
freaking
Philly,
crazy.
so like he's basically comparing to like you can either have people like that come in and throw pencils at you, the bare minimum, or you can walk out, and since they're so pissed that like you kicked them out or like the way you treated them in the casino or how like he had to do his job and regulate, like put a gun to his head. So he was just like comparing the spectrum of which like the people he had to deal with.
And you think that's healthy? You think that's a great idea?
I think
Again-
he might have also been saying, like, the casinos aren't the only thing that could be a problem in the community. Who knows what he was specifically talking about, but I kind of interpret it as, like, he could have people throwing shit at him in the casino, or he could, go around the rest of the community, and bad stuff could still happen.
Well, yeah,
So-
because Atlantic City, right outside of the boardwalk, is dangerous
Terrible.
territory.
He
Yeah.
literally said like they need to build housing for them. Like it's lacking in helping the community. So once you come off the boardwalk, it's a completely different scene, which is terrible.
Well, it's really sad because the whole purpose of those were to get money for the community, to rebuild the community, and it's done the opposite. It's just hurt them.
I think especially because a lot of those, they're like sort of like national level, It's not just specifically Atlantic City. So I guess, that maybe makes the casinos more successful. But it also means that, like, the guys at the top who own those companies, they don't live in Atlantic City. Their paycheck isn't going back into the community. Maybe the people who work there, but, that's like a small portion of the money that's coming in. So maybe the solution is, like, locally owned casinos or something like that.
Yeah, I mean, I
like
think you're
that
onto a great
idea.
point there, because obviously casinos are making a crazy amount of profit, like he mentioned. When he gave a quote and he said you never see like a sportsbook person carry a bag of lunch. Like that was a good one. I thought that was probably his most famous quote from the interview. But
Really? I like the Donald Trump calling AC a shit town. Maybe he
That
just
was
might
pretty
be
good,
mad because
yeah.
we took two of his casinos.
I liked how he just nonchalantly was like, "Yeah, people jump off roofs." I was like, that's like,
Yeah, like-
what's crazy though? Like how normal that is.
Mhm.
Like that's how normal it is that he was just like, yeah, like people jump off roofs. I'm like, what?
he was very desensitized to. You could just tell by the way he
Happens.
talked about it.
Yeah, he was just like, that's the reality of life. So
Especially in Atlantic City.
And like how he sorry to cut you off,
No,
like
you're
how
good.
he said like they don't put it in the paper. They don't put it in the paper because it's so normal. Like
that's terrifying.
like we have like at least 2 people jump off a year, at least 2. So imagine like how many actually do it that they don't put in the paper. Like no one sees and like you
Right.
just walk by and it's just a
And maybe that's something too.
Yeah.
Maybe we should talk about that stuff. I feel like you hear about Atlantic City, all you hear about is the casinos. Maybe people need to spend more time talking about the community and the things that go on. Maybe the casinos are drawing attention away from that.
Well, people are jumping off of roofs because of the casinos. So
That too.
you only hear the positives.
about the casinos.
Moving forward, there is so much money. So like hopefully we start to see in the future is that like Papa Michael was talking about is like the implementation of actually building like houses for the community and like you want if gambling is gonna like move to like other states like New York and stuff. We can only hope that they're gonna set up like better programs and resources to help the communities in which these casinos do go. So.
Truth.
All right. So thank you guys for tuning in to Professional AF Podcast. We hope you enjoyed our podcast for this week, this month.
Whatever you want to say.
This
time.
episode.
There we go. This episode. Be sure to come back in 2 weeks. October. When's our next one?
26?
October.
Something like that.
End of the month. We'll be back with G, Bella, Elliott.